The withdrawal. The stellar assembly hall on Zenith Station fell silent as Ambassador Marcus Chen took the podium. 300 species watched from their designated chambers, each connected through advanced translation systems. The central chamber's transparent dome revealed the vast expanse of space beyond, where thousands of ships maintained their steady orbits. Chen straightened his formal black uniform, the Earth insignia gleaming on his chest. He had represented humanity for 15 years among these alien races, building friendships and negotiating treaties. Today would be different. Honored delegates of the Galactic Accord, Chen began, his voice steady despite the weight of his message. For 73 years, humanity has been a proud member of this august body. We have shared our knowledge, contributed to collective defense, and embraced the spirit of cooperation that defines this council. The Vraskan delegation shifted uneasily in their seats. Their chitinous forms clicked softly as they sensed the tension building. Next to them, the cloud-like Etherians pulsed with concerned colors. Chen's hand gripped the edge of the podium. However, recent events have forced us to reevaluate our position. The Council's decision to impose technological limitations on human development, to restrict our exploratory missions, and to demand oversight of our scientific research goes against every principle we hold dear. Supreme Arbiter Thonville rose from his elevated seat. The ancient Praetorian's four arms gestured for order as murmurs spread through the assembly. Ambassador Chen, these measures were instituted for the stability of all member species. Human advancement has accelerated beyond safe parameters. Safe for whom? Chen responded, his voice carrying an edge it hadn't before. Your parameters are designed to maintain the status quo, to prevent any species from challenging established powers. That is not safety, that is control. The assembly erupted in protests and counter-arguments. Species who had supported the restrictions defended their position, while others who had abstained now spoke in confusion. Chen raised his hand, and surprisingly, the chamber quieted. Earth's parliament has voted. As of this moment, humanity withdraws from the Galactic Accord. All treaties are hereby suspended. Our ships will return to human space within the standard cycle. The announcement hit like a shockwave. The Etherians turned deep crimson with alarm. The usually stoic mechanoids emitted high-pitched warning signals. Even the Vraskans, known for their composure, began chattering anxiously. Ambassador Kalith of the Dravani Empire stepped forward. You cannot simply leave. The Accord maintains peace across 12,000 systems, without human patrols in the outer sectors. You will adapt, Chen interrupted. As we have had to adapt to your restrictions, perhaps this will teach the Council the true value of partnership rather than dominion. As Chen walked from the podium, no one tried to stop him. The human delegation filed out in perfect formation, leaving behind empty seats that suddenly seemed to occupy far more space than they physically should. Within hours, the human fleet began its organized withdrawal. Military vessels pulled back from joint patrol routes. Trading ships were routed to human colonies. Research stations went dark to outside communication. Admiral Sarah Nakamura coordinated the massive operation from the bridge of the carrier Prometheus. All units reporting successful disengagement, her operations officer reported. No incidents, no pursuit. They're too shocked to react, Nakamura observed, watching the tactical display. Give it time. They'll feel our absence soon enough. She was right. Within days, cracks began to appear in the galactic order. Pirates who had long avoided sectors patrolled by human ships suddenly grew bold. The Krell raiders hit 3 unprotected trading convoys in a single week. Without human rapid response teams, local defense forces struggled to contain the threats. On the agricultural world of Verdantia, Governor Tizan frantically called for council assistance. The swarm is returning, she reported, her feathers ruffled with distress. Without human biotech, our crops will fail within the season. The council scrambled to fill the void. Praetorian ships attempted to cover human patrol routes, but lacked the speed and adaptability of human vessels. Etherian scientists tried to replicate human medical breakthroughs, but found themselves decades behind. In the council chambers, heated debates raged daily. "We must convince them to return," argued Councillor Vex of the Alvorians. "Their departure has created chaos." "Perhaps that was their intention," Supreme Orator Thonville responded grimly. "To demonstrate our dependence on them." Meanwhile, human space thrived in isolation. Free from council restrictions, research accelerated at an unprecedented pace. New technologies emerged that the council had feared. Advanced AI, quantum tunneling drives, genetic enhancements that pushed the boundaries of human potential. Dr. Elena Petrov announced a breakthrough in her Mars laboratory. "We've solved the dark matter equation," she told the scientific council. "Without council oversight slowing our work, we've achieved in months what would have taken years." But not all humans celebrated the withdrawal. On the frontier colony of New Hope, Commander James Wilson watched his long-range sensors with growing concern. "The Krell are getting bolder," he reported to Earth Command. "They're testing our borders now." "Hold position," came the response. "Do not engage unless directly threatened." Wilson frowned. "And the colonies just beyond our space? The ones we use to protect?" "They made their choice when they supported the restrictions. They're on their own now." As weeks turned to months, the situation in council space deteriorated further. Trade routes became unsafe. Scientific progress stalled. Minor conflicts erupted between species who had once been allies. The Dravani Empire, historically one of the most stable powers, found itself overwhelmed by refugee requests from smaller species seeking protection. Ambassador Kaleth sent desperate messages to human space, all officially ignored. In secret, however, some communication continued. Former allies maintained back channels, sharing intelligence and warnings. It was through one such channel that humanity learned of the growing threat. "Something's happening in the void sectors," reported Agent Maya Torres, humanity's unofficial observer in council space. "Attacks that don't match any known raider patterns. Whole colonies going dark." Back on Earth, the Security Council convened an emergency session. "We can't ignore this," argued General Patricia Hayes. "If something's building up out there, it'll eventually reach us too." "But we left," countered Senator Ahmad. "We made our position clear. Going back now would undermine everything we've stood for." President Elena Volkov listened to both sides before speaking. "Perhaps there's a middle ground. We protect our interests without rejoining the council. Show them the difference between partnership and subservience." The human fleet mobilized quietly. Ships took up positions along the border, watching and waiting. They didn't cross into council space, but made their presence known. In the council chambers, the remaining members argued endlessly about how to approach humanity. Some advocated for lifting all restrictions and begging for their return. Others insisted on maintaining their authority. "They need us as much as we need them," Supreme Arbiter Thonville declared, though his voice lacked its former certainty. As if to challenge his words, alarms suddenly blared throughout Zenith Station. Multiple contacts appeared on long-range sensors, unknown vessels emerging from the void sectors. The attack was swift and coordinated. Council defense forces, stretched thin and demoralized, struggled to respond. Within hours, 3 major systems fell to the unknown enemy. Ambassador Kaleth watched the tactical display with growing horror. "Send a message to human space," she ordered. Tell them we were wrong." The message went out, but there was no immediate response. Humanity watched and waited, gathering intelligence on this new threat, while the Council faced the consequences of their actions. As part 1 of our story closes, the galaxy teeters on the brink of chaos. The Council, having driven away their most adaptable and innovative members, now faces a threat they may not be able to handle alone. And humanity must decide whether to maintain their isolation or return to save those who once sought to control them. In the darkness of space, something ancient and terrible stirs, and the true test of humanity's character is about to begin. The breaking point. The unknown ships moved like shadows through Council space, their dark hulls absorbing light and sensor pings. Commander Zara O'Brien watched the tactical feed from her post aboard the human battlecruiser Resolute, positioned just inside human territory. "They're not using any known propulsion system," reported Lieutenant Chen. "No engine signatures, no quantum wake. It's like they're sliding through space." O'Brien nodded grimly. "Keep monitoring. Earth wants detailed scans before we make any decisions." Across the border, chaos reigned. The Praetorian Third Fleet engaged the mysterious attackers near the Helios cluster and suffered devastating losses. Admiral Thonkar's final transmission showed writhing tentacles of dark energy tearing his flagship apart. In the council chambers, panic had replaced debate. Species representatives shouted over each other, demanding action, assigning blame, and calling for strategies that no longer existed. "We must recall our forces from the frontier," cried the Vraskan delegate, "and leave our colonies defenseless," countered the Dravani. "We need to consolidate, yes, but not abandon our people." Supreme Arbiter Thonvol slammed his ceremonial staff against the floor. "Order. We must." His words cut off as the lights flickered. Emergency power kicked in, bathing the chamber in red. "They're here," someone whispered. Outside Zenith Station, reality seemed to warp. 3 massive vessels materialized, their surfaces rippling like oil on water. They dwarfed the station, casting shadows that somehow felt alive. Station Commander Ural activated emergency protocols. "All ships, defensive formation. Protect the civilian sectors." But even as she gave the order, she knew it was futile. These attackers had torn through military fleets like paper. The first assault came not as weapons fire, but as a wave of psychic energy. Etherians collapsed, their gaseous forms dissipating. Mechanoids shut down, their circuits overloaded. Organic beings clutched their heads in agony. Ambassador Keleth managed to reach her private communication console. With trembling claws, she entered the encrypted frequency humanity had provided months ago, a line she'd hoped never to use. "Please," she gasped, "we invoke the Sapient Protection Clause. Article 7 of your own Constitution. Help us." The response came immediately. Authentication required. Keleth entered her personal code, the one exchanged in secret during better times. Verified. Stand by for council authorization. An eternity seemed to pass. Then, authorization accepted. Stand by for jump. Across human space, ships powered up their new quantum tunnel drives. President Volkov addressed the fleet. "We go not as conquerors or saviors, but as neighbors responding to a call for help. Show them what humanity stands for." The human fleet arrived in a flash of light that momentarily outshone the local star. 200 ships, battlecruisers, carriers, destroyers, and support vessels, arranged in perfect formation. Admiral Nakamura assessed the situation instantly. Unknown hostiles engaged with Zenith Station. Multiple council ships disabled, detecting life signs but massive psychic interference. "Deploy the neural shields," she ordered. "All ships, pattern Delta 7. Let's show them how humans fight." The neural shields, a technology developed during humanity's isolation, activated across the fleet. The psychic assault that had crippled council forces washed harmlessly over human ships. The shadow vessels turned their attention to the new arrivals. Dark energy weapons lashed out, reality warping beams that had torn through Praetorian armor. But human ships moved like dancers, their enhanced drives allowing maneuvers that defied conventional physics. They returned fire with weapons the Council had never seen: graviton lances, antimatter clusters, and temporal disruptors. Inside Zenith Station, Council members watched in awe as humans engaged the invaders. The battle was unlike anything they'd witnessed. Human fighters wove through space with impossible grace, their pilots linked directly to their craft through neural interfaces. "They've advanced beyond anything we imagined," Supreme Arbiter Thonvol murmured. But the shadow vessels adapted quickly. They began to merge, forming larger constructs that pulsed with malevolent energy. One such construct fired a beam that caught the destroyer Shanghai, aging it 1,000 years in seconds. The ship crumbled to dust. Admiral Nakamura's voice remained calm. Activate Protocol Prometheus. From the carrier Prometheus emerged a new weapon, a sphere of pure energy that hummed with power. Dr. Petrov's dark matter research had borne fruit. The sphere shot forward, expanding as it moved. When it touched the nearest shadow construct, reality itself seemed to scream. The construct unraveled, its component vessels dissolving into base particles. The remaining attackers hesitated, a reaction no one had seen before. They began to retreat, sliding back into whatever dimension they'd emerged from. "Do we pursue?" asked Captain Reynolds. "Negative," Nakamura replied. "Our priority is helping the survivors." Human ships spread out, deploying medical teams and repair crews. They worked with brutal efficiency, saving lives and restoring systems without asking for thanks or recognition. In the council chambers, Ambassador Chen appeared via hologram. The years showed on his face, but his eyes held no triumph, only determination. "We came because you called," he said simply. "We'll help you rebuild your defenses, share what we've learned about these entities, but things must change." Supreme Arbiter Thonville nodded slowly. "What are your terms?" "No terms, no restrictions, no oversight committees. True partnership or nothing at all." The vote was unanimous. For the first time in Council history, every species agreed. In the months that followed, humanity worked alongside their former colleagues to fortify the galaxy against future attacks. They shared technology freely but refused to be bound by bureaucracy. The shadow entities probed the borders several more times, but found a united front waiting. Human innovation combined with alien perspectives created defenses that adapted and evolved. Dr. Petrov published her findings on the attackers. They're from a parallel dimension where physical laws work differently. They feed on psychic energy and view our reality as a resource to be harvested. The Council established new protocols based on human recommendations, fast response teams, shared research initiatives, and most importantly, respect for each species' sovereignty. Ambassador Kaleth met with Chen privately after the reforms passed. "You knew this would happen," she said. "You knew we'd need you." Chen shook his head. "We hoped it wouldn't come to this. But we also knew that sometimes people need to learn hard lessons. And if we hadn't learned, then we would have defended our space and mourned your loss." He paused. "But I'm glad it didn't come to that." A year after the crisis, the Galactic Accord reconvened with a new charter. Humanity held no special position, claimed no superiority. They simply took their seat among equals. President Volkov addressed the assembly. "We are stronger together, but only when that togetherness is built on mutual respect. Let this be a new beginning." In deep space, Sentinel stations now monitored the dimensional barriers. Human and alien crews worked side by side, watching for signs of the shadow entity's return. Commander Wilson, promoted after the crisis, served aboard one such station. His mixed-species crew functioned with an efficiency born of genuine cooperation rather than forced integration. Contact on Sensor Grid 7 reported his Raskin tactical officer. "Classification?" Wilson asked. "Just a spatial anomaly. Logging it for analysis." Wilson nodded, then smiled as his Etherian science officer and human engineer debated the readings. This was how it should have been all along. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity's withdrawal hadn't been about power or revenge. It had been about dignity, about the right to grow and explore without artificial constraints. Now, as true partners, they faced the universe together. The shadow entities would return. Everyone knew that. But when they did, they would find not a fractured council, but a united federation of species who had learned to value their differences. In the end, humanity's greatest contribution wasn't their technology or military might. It was the simple truth they'd demonstrated. Respect must be earned and freely given, never demanded or imposed. The stars beckoned, full of mysteries and dangers. But now, humanity and their allies faced them as they should, together, as equals, with eyes wide open and hands extended in friendship. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly as it should be.